Alright, number 10, we get another problem they want us to solve by completing the square. Let me make note. I recommend, because I don't mind how you do it, you want to be knowledgeable about the method, but if you can factor it, go ahead and factor it. It'll be a lot easier and less work. I think you can, but I'm going to show you completing the square again, and then I'm going to also factor it as well. So we have 3x squared minus 24 x, and that is plus 15. Okay, so completing the square, we're going to move the constant over first. Alright, so we're going to have 3x squared minus 24x plus blank space equals, subtract 15 to move it over. That's going to give you a negative 15. Alright, then we have to make sure our leading coefficient is a 1. Okay, so you got to factor out a 1, divide both of these by 3 and factor it on the outside. So this will become 3 on the outside, and we have x squared. Divide that by 3, that's going to be negative 8x plus blank space equals negative 15. Alright, now complete the square part. Middle term, negative 8. Divided by 2, and then square it. Okay, so negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4 squared. Okay, so that's what I'm adding to this side. Negative 4 squared. Negative 4 squared. Now, because I have a coefficient on the outside, I actually have to evaluate this times 3, and then that's what I add to this side, so that both sides are even. So 4 squared is 16. Okay, and then 16 times 3 gives us 48. Okay, so I'm adding 48, and it is positive because it was squared. The negative number got squared, turned positive, so it is adding at 48. And then we're going to continue with the process. So the factoring part, I'm going to bring down that 3. I'm going to do parentheses. You take the two squared terms, the x and the negative 4, and you put your square on the outside. And then we're going to simplify the 15 and the 48. That's going to give us 33, positive 33. Divide by 3 on both sides. And that's going to give us x minus 4 quantity squared equals 11. And then we're going to take the square root. When you do square root of a number, plus or minus. And then square and square root cancel out, so you have x minus 4 equals positive or negative square root of 11. So I will not factor this because this is not going to be factorable because square root is not a whole or rational integer. So we'll just leave it like this. So we have x minus 4 equals the square root of 11, and then we have x minus 4 equals the negative square root of 11. I'm going to add 4 on both scenarios. So I'm going to add 4. It's going to give me x equals 4 plus square root of 11. And then down here I want to add 4. That will give me x equals 4 minus the square root of 11. Long process, but it does work out. You can solve it every time. It's not so nice though because those fractions pop up. We didn't see one that has a really bad fraction in it, but they can be pretty messy. 4 plus the keypad square root of 11, and then over here 4 minus square root of 11. Looks good. Alright, number 11, completing the square again. Okay, let's do it one more time. Hopefully you start to pick up on the pattern. Number x squared. Now this one is better because we don't have a leading coefficient out front, but it's going to be bad because we have to deal with some problematic fractions. But it's always fun. I mean, so leading term is 1. We're going to move this constant term over. So I have x squared minus 3x plus blank equals, when you subtract 2, it's going to be a negative 2. No coefficient out front, so I don't have to divide that out. But I do have to take care of the completing the square part. So the number in the middle, negative 3, divide by 2, and square it. Alright. 3 is not divisible by 2, so here's one of those messy ones that we got to deal with the fraction. So negative 3 over 2 squared, I'm going to leave it just like that and put it on this side. Don't want to change that to a decimal and mess things up. Over here we're going to square them both. So when you have a fraction being squared, that's the same thing as negative 3 squared, the top squared, and the bottom squared, 2 squared. 3 squared will give you 9, positive. 2 squared will give you 4. So 9 over 4. This I don't have to alter because I didn't factor anything out. I don't have to multiply that by anything. So just 9 over 4. Alright, we're going to factor the left side. So the 2 squared terms, x and the negative 3 over 2 squared equal. We're going to convert this to a common denominator. So 2 over 1, I can get both of these the same if I multiply this top and bottom by 4. Okay, because you can't add or subtract fractions if you don't have the same denominator. So if I do 4 times negative 2, this is going to give me a negative 8 over 4. Same thing as negative 2. And then plus my 9 over 4. So I've got same denominator, now I can combine the fractions. I'm going to simplify that side. So I have x minus 3 over 2 squared equals, combine those, it's going to give me 1/4. Alright, now we have the square root method. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. Don't forget plus or minus over there. Square root cancel out, so we have x minus 3 over 2 is equal to, again, you're going to square root the top and square root the bottom. That's what that means. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 4 is 2. So you just get 1 over 2. And then from here we can do our 2 parts. So we have x minus 3 over 2 equals positive 1/2. And then x minus 3 over 2 equals negative 1/2. And then we're going to add the 3/2 to both sides and simplify our final answer. So we have x equals, when you add that, we have 3 over 2 plus 1 over 2 gives you 4 over 2, which just gives you 2. And then over here, we have x equals 3 over 2 minus 1 over 2, which will give you 2 over 2, which is just equal to 1. So it works out nice. 1 and 2.